Once again, we are going to look into a truth which will really bless you. If you happen to read in Numbers chapter 13 and verse 33, it says, we saw the Nephilim there, the descendants of Anak come from the Nephilim. We seem like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and we look the same to them. Let me read the last part again for you. It says, we seemed like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and we looked the same to them. You know, faith and our sight go hand to hand. That is something we need to understand from this part. I know that many of you know this part of the verse, and you would have heard of a lot of messages on this. But what I'm trying to tell you here is very different today. You know, if you carefully watch this verse, it says, we seemed like grasshoppers, you know, and we looked the same to them. We seemed like grasshoppers, and that's how we looked from their side. You know, the people who went to spy the land of Canaan did not want to see the things from their point of view, but they began to see themselves from others' point of view. Now, this is a big problem. You know, seeing things or assuming things from others' point of view always misleads us, misdirects us. It diverts us. It misleads us. You know, we need to be very careful in how we see things. Our sight is more important for believing or to believe on something. You know, faith is so connected with how we see the things. God was traveling with them in the form of pillar of cloud and pillar of fire, and the Lord was speaking to Moses face to face, and the Lord did so much of miracles for them. But still, they could not see the giants of Canaan from the side of God. Rather, they began to see the giants from the side of their enemy. Our heart manipulates things by what we see. I would like to say something over here. The devil cannot steal that which is not in the flesh. The devil can steal only what is fleshly seen. It cannot steal what you see by faith. That's why there's a verse which says, we live by faith and not by sight. Faith gives you a sight which is not of a fleshly sight. And the devil can only steal that which you see from your fleshly eyes. It cannot steal that which you see by faith. You know, these people, when they went to the land of Canaan, they had no sight of their own, but they were putting themselves in the place of the enemy, and they assumed that this is how the enemy is seeing us, and they took it as an identity of how they look before their enemy. They put an identity of a grasshopper. They said, we look like grasshoppers before them. You know, they took the identity of a grasshopper, whereas God had blessed them and given them the strength of a wild ox. You know, God was with them, such a great God was with them. Like a father, he carried them on his shoulders and brought them. And they forgot the identity which God had put in them, but they were looking at themselves from the identity of their enemy. And this is a big barrier for us to receive the blessing or the victory. Again, let me quote this line for you. Devil cannot steal that which is not seen in the flesh. They saw that they were like grasshoppers. Their heart was filled with fear, which is an emotion. And they were afraid of them. And they began to blame Moses and said, "Do you want to kill us by these giants?" The identity which they took stimulated their fear emotion. And then they began to blame Moses. They were afraid that they will be killed. So many stories started to run in the background of the head. But I tell you, if your emotions are correctly connected with God, if it is one with God the Father, if it is one with Jesus, if it is one with the Holy Spirit, if your emotions are rewired properly, you can not only see the things in the Spirit, you can also take victory over the things which is seen in the flesh. If your emotions are filled with fear, you will give yourself to the enemy and fear will begin to take hold of you. So what are you going to do? Our emotions are very strong. Our emotions has to be rewired. Our emotions are too powerful, by which either you can win or you can lose. And these emotions are up to me to handle and take victory. And only if you allow the Holy Spirit to work in that, He can rewire it in the right place so that you can come to your identity and you can take the victory. May the Lord bless this word. Thank you.